Had some really good quiet time with the Lord, and He got to speak some truth to me. And now there's a way that I hear it in my head, and I don't know if it's going to come out the same way. And it sounds good in my head, and I don't know if it's going to sound good out here. So some of this stuff I have never shared. These are ideas I've been going through my head. It's a lot, so I might move kind of quick, or I might go over time. So please forgive me for that. I was trying to find things I wanted to take out, but I ended up just putting everything in there. But the topic that I wanted to talk about is our identity, or my identity, your identity. And I don't know, I've always been the kind of guy, even being up here right now, I'm never really comfortable in my own skin, you know? Always felt like people didn't really like me, or I didn't fit in. And I think along the way I've kind of learned why, you know? I think growing up without a father had a big effect on me. My father OD'd and died when I was 4 years old. So I never had a man to say like, oh, that's what a man looks like, or that's what I want to be like. And the stories that I heard about my father, they weren't really good. He went to prison for murder, and he was obviously a drug addict. So I didn't know that there was identity I was getting from him along the way, but obviously those weren't ones that I wanted to have. My dad was white. I'm half white, half Puerto Rican. And growing up, my mom got remarried to a Puerto Rican guy. I got two younger brothers. One of them, they call me the white brother. I have a tan brother, and then a black brother. But I'm half white, half Puerto Rican, and that half white is the only white in my family. Everybody else is 100% Puerto Rican. So they would make fun of me for being white, you know, call me a cracker, tell me I can't dance. So I never looked at being white as a good thing, you know? And it kind of built some resentments towards my family, you know, and resentments towards myself, and I just didn't know who I was. And there was something called core beliefs, things that I believed about myself, and they weren't good. Like I wasn't good enough, or I was worthless. So I kind of started to take on some new identities. You know, I'd watch a movie or see a famous rapper, or you know, I became a soldier because I was trying to find like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And you know, was I good? Was I bad? And this has been part of my journey about who God says I am. So I want to share two short stories, or a couple stories actually. You know, my mom, she got divorced from my stepfather, and she drank a lot, and me and my brothers needed a father, so she would date a lot and bring different guys into the home. And there was one boyfriend in particular. He was there for a couple years, and very abusive, you know? And my mom kind of encouraged it because we were getting to that age where we needed some discipline. And he wasn't just abusive to me, but he was abusive to my brothers, and he was abusive to my mom, you know, verbally and physically. And as I started to get older, I'm about 12 years old, and we got into it one time, and I told him, hey, don't put your hands on me, you're not my father. And he's like, who's been here for the past 2 years? I was like, you know what, and there'll be some other guy here next year. And he started to hit me again, and I was like, if you hit me again, I'm gonna kill you. And then he's like, oh yeah, tough guy? I'm about 95 pounds, 12 years old at the time. He picks me up and body slams me on this coffee table. And this was the beginning of a fight that would get him to leave. But I started throwing things at him. Normally I'd be too scared to fight back, but I started to fight back, throwing stuff at him. And he goes and gets a knife, and he's chasing me around with this knife. And my mom gets the knife, and she's trying to break it up, and he's knocking her down. And finally, me and my mom run into my bedroom, and she's holding the door down. He's trying to kick the door down. I'm kind of just standing there scared, like maybe I'm gonna fight. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I knew I was tired of watching him put his hands on my mom and putting his hands on my brother. And so many times I would just stand there and watch him do that, and I did nothing. And I was pissed. And so finally he busts the door down. My mom's on the other side of the door. She falls down, and he comes in with a gun. And he's poking me, throwing me down, poking me in the head. He's like, "Kill me, tough guy. Come on, you said you're gonna kill me?" And my mom wrestles the gun, and I grab the gun, and I just start pulling the trigger. And I never shot a gun before. The safety was on, and I couldn't pull the trigger. And that was like a defining moment in my life. And part of me felt like, yeah, I would have killed him. You know, I had my finger on the trigger, I would have killed him. Another part of me, even to this day, I have nightmares of like a bad guy coming and I go to shoot him and I can't pull the trigger. I got my whole like hand up trying to pull the trigger. And but there's another part of me that's like, man, I'm so weak, I can't even pull this trigger. And you know, was I a good guy in that instance or a bad guy in that instance? And my mom says that she didn't know that he had a gun in the house, and that was just another day at my house, you know. And but she did kick him out, and then I became the man of the house, you know. So now I'm like, all right, finally I can start running things the way they need to be. I got my brothers doing what they need to do. I actually start stepping up in the house, fixing things in the house, and just doing what I'm supposed to do. But it wasn't too long till my mom, you know, doesn't like something that I'm doing, and I don't like her attitude. And I'm about 14 years old at the time, and she says something I don't like, and I'm about to walk out the door, and I just knock all this stuff off the table and like curse at her. And I'm walking out the door, and then she comes, she's like washing dishes, and she grabs me by the hair. And my mom's a Puerto Rican woman from the Bronx, and she just starts wailing on me. But by this point, I'm like, hey, I'm a man. I've been wrestling, I've been fighting, and I'm trying to like get out the door, and she just won't let me go. And I grab her by the back of the legs, and I just gave her a little shove, and she goes flying, and she lands and cracks her head open on a magazine rack. I remember just looking at her on the ground, and she grabs the back of her head, and her whole hand is filled with blood. I'm like, damn. And I was so scared, I just took off and ran. Ran for hours. They had no place to go. And finally, I knew I needed to come back home. I didn't know what to say or what to do. And there's a police car at my house. And I walk in, and the cops arrest me, and they took me to juvenile detention. And so part of me felt like maybe I was a hero in that story with my mom's boyfriend. I definitely wasn't a hero in this, and this was shameful, you know? You don't go to jail and say, hey, yeah, I'm here for, you know, hurting my mom. So I remember sitting in jail and being like, you know, am I a good guy or a bad guy? Felt like I was a monster, you know? And felt like I was worthless. And then I started coming up with these different ideas. I was like, you know what, I'm a psychopath, you know? I'm just crazy. I'm so crazy, like, I'll hurt my own family. And if I'll do that to my own family, imagine what I would do to you. You don't want to mess with me. But I learned that there's something called projection. And I love, at Dunklin, I learned what it meant, right? Projection. Anybody know what Dunklin's definition of projection was? In the book it said, where we take out our own self-hatred on others. You know, some people just say it's just blaming others, but when I looked up the definition, it was taking out your self-hatred on others. Because I believed that I was worthless. I thought I was a loser. I thought I was bad. I thought everybody hated me. And we talk about this all the time. The things that we think about affect the way we feel, and the way we feel affect the way we act. And things that had happened to me, things that I had done, affected the way that I thought and the way that I felt and the things that I did. So I trying to figure out a cure for what's wrong with me, you know? And I found my first love, my first drug of choice. What do you think my first drug of choice was? Huh?
A woman.
A woman. It's good. Wasn't alcohol, wasn't drugs, it was women. And I felt like this is going to be the answer to all my problems, you know? In the Bible, God creates everything. Light, the world, heavens, trees, animals, and things just keep getting better. And eventually he creates man, but the last thing that God creates is the woman. And this right here was going to be the answer to all my problems. Like, look how beautiful this thing is. Smells good. I just want to touch it, and I don't want to let this thing go. And but my heart's kind of nasty. I've been through some things, and maybe I'm not handling this the right way. And every once in a while, you get pricked by a thorn, you know. And I don't know. I don't like to get hurt. Women have hurt me, and I just find a way to make sure that she ain't gonna ever hurt me again. You know, women have a habit of hurting you, and I'm like super vain and judgmental, and this is like stems too long. I need to all right, that's more what I'm looking for. And then I smell it. I want to, this is what I've done to women my whole life, you know. And then I'm like super jealous, you know. These are all things that I'm learning on how to like be with a woman. I'm like, she loves me not, she loves me not. I'm like, I hate her, you know. Like, how could you do this to me? But no, I love you. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I was talking to somebody about my ex-wife and talking about how good she cooked, you know. One thing I do with women is take them for granted, you know. Stick them in my back pocket. It's just like, forget about them. Forget about how all the good things that they've done for me. And I just treat them like trash. You know? And then the way I treat them, then they leave me or cheat on me. And God forbid, I'm telling you, every girl, after it's ended, it wasn't the same, you know? Like, when I'm done with a girl, who wants this girl? You know? Anybody want this? You want her? Who would want her? Who would want this? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ wants this. And this isn't just every girl that I've ever been with. This is me. And this is you. And this is the whole point of the gospel. Jesus wants this broken, trashed on, called names, abused. He wants to take that and make it new. He wants to give it a new identity. So I fall in love with Jesus, like I'm sure all of you have as well. But what changes after that? I was still a pretty bad dude after I fell in love with Jesus. After I received salvation, there was a lot in me that needed to change. But it was the beginning of the process. But what did God see in me? How does God look at something like this and say, I want that? Why? And I believe God sees value in that. You guys see what this is? Huh? Payday. It's a Honda. It's a Honda. I was going to use a 20, but I trust you guys. And we can recognize value in this, right? And but what if I crumble it up? I'll take it. I'll clean it up. Does it still have value? Yeah. How about if I stomp on it? Still got value? Oh, yeah. This is a stupid $100 bill. You're worthless, If I call it names, does it still have value? Hey, here's Ken Franklin. I don't like it. Does it still got value?
Yeah.
So God sees value in us. And I have a hard time understanding why. Because I know the things that I've done. I know the things that have happened to me. But God still sees value in me. And we can recognize a $100 bill, the value of it, because we can get $100 worth of stuff, but we don't really see it in ourselves. And there's a saying that I love. It says, you can determine the value of something by what somebody's willing to pay for it. And if God sent his son to die for me and to die for you, how much more valuable must we be in his eyes? Like, I have 2 sons. I love them more than anything. But I don't love anybody enough to send them to die for them. But God did that for us. So this is like the teaching part of this. And I've learned a lot of this at Dunklin and just my experience walking with God. And you guys might not even recognize that you're going through this.
You got plenty of time, Kenny. Take your time, plenty of time.
So, the first step is receiving salvation. But after you receive salvation, you're not going to change overnight. Like, I still had nastiness in my heart. The Holy Spirit goes in here, right? Where the nastiness is. God said, let there be light in the dark place, right? And that's in my heart. And I had unforgiveness in my heart. When I came home from the army, now I'm a legit trained killer, and I really walked in that identity. And when I came home, first thing I wanted to do was kill my mom's boyfriend, who I hadn't seen in years. Then I had guilt and shame. I've done a lot of bad things. I told you what happened between me and my mom. That's just one of many. But these are things in my heart that breed lies, that cause me to act a certain way, that just continues to hurt the people I care about and to ruin my life. And God's trying to change that. So I saw a diagram that these dark spots in our hearts, they really come from memories, right? I'm sure all of you can remember maybe someone that's really hurt you, or something that you really did that you have a lot of guilt and shame for. You have this memory, and in that memory is pain. And then attached to that is a lie. And in here is all this stuff. And we talked about the things we think about affect the way we feel, and the way we feel affect the way we act. So God needs to heal this pain. And this happens through forgiveness, through confessing our sins, through there's a level of healing that I get by sharing the stories that I share. These aren't easy stories to share. I remember doing my houses and at Dunklin, Jamie was there, and I confessed stuff that I've never told anybody. I never said it out loud. It was difficult for me to just share that stuff this morning. But I'm not going to let the lie, the guilt and shame, like I have received God's love and forgiveness. So he has healed me of this pain. And then he spoke truth to the lies. I'm like, that's who I am. I'm a piece of crap. I'm the kind of guy that hurts his own mother. But that's a lie. It was an accident. That's not who I am. My mom forgives me. We have a great relationship today. God forgives me. I have forgiven myself. So I don't need to walk in this lie anymore. And then this memory. I've never put my hands on a woman ever again. which is a good thing. And I can share these stories because there's other people that maybe have been through something similar. And I can share that they're not alone. Hey, I've done some pretty nasty stuff. And I can share God's forgiveness and His grace and His mercy over my life. And I can help them work through the lies that they believe about themselves because of things that have happened or things that they have done. This is the process every morning when we come in here and read the Bible and share these stories and share about our lives, or we're just doing one-on-ones at the house. This is God's doing this stuff. This is just like a picture of what God's doing. And all of a sudden, and I love to reiterate it for myself, because God is changing my heart and renewing my mind. All this stuff is starting to go away. And then the way I think is so much better. The Holy Spirit starts to renew my mind. And then, the things I think about change the way I feel, which affect the way that I act. And all of a sudden, I'm walking in a new identity. My identity in Christ. And there's another thing that God's doing. I think, where is it? Scott was telling me that Matt gave him a book called Release of the Spirit. And at Dunklin, there's a book. Sometimes they'll have you read it, Release of the Spirit. And the book pretty much says that you receive the Holy Spirit, but we got the inner man, we got the outer man, and then an outermost man, right? And this Holy Spirit, like Scott's getting broken, the Spirit's like touching his heart, right? And the Spirit wants to come out, but it can't, because we just got these walls up and this flesh and these lies, and we're trying to protect ourselves, right? And what the Holy Spirit's going to do, He's going to put a crack in this stuff, you know? And hey, if that takes me, being humbled by addiction, losing my kids, like, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Because God's more concerned with me being like Him, being conformed to the image of Christ, than me having a bunch of money in my bank account and having everything that I want. God could care less about that stuff. He doesn't mind if you have it, but not at the expense of not being like Christ. That's a priority. And God will break you and He will crush you because He loves you, and He's done it to me. But just so you're going through your life when things aren't easy and when you're struggling and you're in the fight, just know that this is God making you more like Jesus Christ. It's a good thing. So where do we go from here? Our foundation is Jesus Christ. And I always hear people say that, but what does that really mean? It means I walk in forgiveness for the people that have hurt me and for the things I've done to others. Also, I'm a son of God. Man, that's beautiful. The Creator of the universe has made me His son. And that comes with benefits, but it also comes with responsibility. I'm loved. I'm accepted.
Come on.
I have hope.
That's right.
I am a soldier, not for the United States Army, but in the kingdom of God. And I recommend for all you guys to come up here and do this. Man, this will get you outside your comfort zone. It's going to get you meditating on the Lord all week and really bless your quiet time. Oh, and then we got purpose, a mission. Every soldier has a mission. And we get to be a part of the greatest mission that there has ever been. But also, while that's our foundation, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. But God will also call us to be a husband and to be a father, or to be an electrician. But that's not the foundation of who I am. You know what? If I get fired from being an electrician, or I lose my kids, or my wife leaves me, I'm not going to go toppling down, because I know who I am in Christ. I'm a son of God. And then at Dunkland, we always said, think, feel, act. The things we think about affect the way we feel, and the way we feel affect the way we act. And the way we act determines our character. And our character should be like Jesus Christ. And then our character will determine our destiny. The Bible says some really cool stuff. It says that we're going to be seated with Christ on his throne. It says that we're going to judge angels. Like, it says that we're going to reign with Jesus Christ for 1,000 years. It says some pretty awesome stuff. So sometimes I'm sitting in here and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just doing some electrical work, sitting in some Bible study. Like, this is just seeds that are being planted for something awesome that God's doing. And every once in a while, he gives me a glimpse of it. When I look at my life and the things that I've been through, I can recognize it a whole lot more. So I hope you guys got something out of it. Love you guys.
Love it.
Awesome, Sheriff.
That was awesome.